Ahoy, beautiful people. Welcome back to another day, another night of Front Row 2021. Firstly, let me know, guys, where you're tuning in from today for this workshop with Brittni Bowering. Currently, it's 11 p.m. our time. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from and what time it is currently. It's always great to see some people up at 4 a.m., 11 p.m., 9 a.m. having brekkie in the morning. So let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Before I bring on Brittni and before she jumps into her workshop, just a couple of housekeeping things from me, guys. Firstly, please keep sharing online with the hashtag FrontRow2021 and tagging us at Pitchproof. We love to see the content that you guys are sharing, the notes you're taking, everything that you're following along at home. It's fantastic to see, and we love sharing it too to our community. But yeah, apart from that, just want to give another massive shout out to our sponsors. They've been absolutely amazing this week, super supportive, and without them, we couldn't have what we have right now in this production space and being able to have these amazing speakers. So huge shout out to the teams of Framework, Adobe XD, and Milestone Pay. And also, guys, if you haven't already, check out our virtual expo in the Front Row platform. There's lots of different goodies there, downloads, interactive activities, heaps of additional workshops and content after Front Row that you guys can attend, as well as some like fun games and things in there as well. So definitely check that one out if you've got the time. But let's get into the thing why we're all here and excited for. Brittni, are you there?
I'm here.
How you
right
going?
here, Ryan. Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Why don't you firstly give everyone a quick little intro about yourself, and secondly, tell everyone what we're talking about today.
Cool. Okay, so I'm Brittni. I'm super excited to be here, first of all. I am a content strategist. I facilitate a lot of workshops basically to do that kind of work with my clients. And I'm also I sometimes do stand-up comedy. Let's just leave it at that. I don't like to, you don't want to,
Tell us a
like
joke.
increase expectations too much. Exactly. But yeah, I basically just help businesses, brands, consultants, entrepreneurs basically have a bit more of a voice in their industry to basically reach any kind of goal that they're looking for. So whether it's to fill the funnel and make sales a little easier, or whether it's just to get a few more opportunities, that's kind of what I'm all about. And I'm super excited because today I'm telling you, I'm going to actually go through like a super tangible workshop. Everybody who's going to follow along, it's not going to be easy. I'll just warn you, we're going to actually get to work in this workshop. Funny, it's called a workshop. And I'm going to basically run you through a really simple way to create a content plan for yourself. So you can build a bit of a kind of like a personal branding plan so that you can as well kind of build a little bit of more awareness around yourself and your industry. So that's kind of the all in a nutshell.
Love it. I'm so excited for this one, Brittni.
Yeah.
Feel free to jump straight into it. I'm going to be taking notes. And guys, before we begin, if you got any questions for Brittni or throughout this presentation, feel free to chuck them in the live chat, or if you're attending on the Front Row platform, tap that little like chat icon above us, and you guys can submit a video question to Brittni. And that would be super cool to kind of get your face on Front Row and kind of just create that extra level of engagement, which I'm sure Brittni can tell you from a content standpoint is really, really important. But yeah, Brittni,
that's right.
Feel free to get into it.
Cool. I'll take it away. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Nice.
And thanks for everybody who's jumped in to take this workshop. You are brave souls, because like I said, it's not going to be an easy one, but I think you're really going to get some like serious value out of it. So that's my whole goal. Also so cool that you guys are coming from all different time zones all over the world. That's one of the coolest things about these virtual conferences, isn't it? So I'm coming from Berlin, in case anybody's wondering. It's 3 p.m. my time. I'm in like the hot zone. Like this is the best time of day usually for me. So I'm going to throw some energy at you guys, so I hope you're ready for that. One thing before we kick off is I will have some time, like I've kind of allotted some time for Q&A at the end. So definitely, like Ryan said, throw your questions, like anything at all about content, about social media, about, building a brand around your business, whatever. I'm super excited to answer those, so I'll make sure to leave time for that. So let's jump in. I already introduced myself, so this slide is now obsolete. I'm wondering how you're doing. So on a scale from 1 to 10, could you just let me know in the chat? Like, you can be brutally honest. If you're at like a 2 or 3, I'm going to try to bring that up by the end of the workshop. That's the goal. So be honest. How are you actually feeling today? There's a lot of ups and downs these days, so let's just get it all out there. I can't see any comments yet because there's a delay, but I'm going to look back in a moment or two when you can actually see the comments rolling in. All right. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so like I said before, I already explained what we're going to do here. This is going to help you create some strategic ways to get in touch with your audience, some ways to actually create content that makes sense for your goals. And I'm going to take you through that from basically creating a goal to actually having some solid content ideas at the end of this workshop. So yeah, let's friggin' do it, right? Before that though, here's a little agenda. So I'm going to tell a little bit of my story in case, we've never met or you've never seen any of my stuff on social media platforms, which, I'm sure there are quite a few of you, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and why I think personal branding and actually just putting content out there and having a voice in your industry is so important, no matter really what your goals are. And then we'll create your plan, and then we'll go into Q&A. Okay. So why should you build a personal brand? I mean, I guess probably a lot of you are here because you understand that you should do this. You understand that you should invest some time in creating some kind of content, in starting some conversations and getting involved and building your network, right? Personal branding, like, as we should understand it, is really just networking, virtually, right? Through social media. So that's what I'm going to be talking about anyways, specifically today. The thing about me, so I actually started kind of building a bit of a brand for myself several years ago, and it kind of happened by accident, actually, which was kind of funny and lucky, I will say. I worked at a small agency based in Berlin called AJ & Smart, which maybe some of you know or know me even from. And basically, my job at AJ & Smart was to build awareness around this company, around this agency, around what we were doing. So that was all I had to do, was try to make them basically famous, right? Make us famous in this little niche pocket of the design world. So I really jumped into that, and that meant that I was really kind of putting myself out there. We were a small team, so very often I was in the videos. I was the one kind of the face on social media, and I was really presenting us and telling people our story and what we were doing. So in turn, while I was building up this cool brand around AJ & Smart, which I am very proud that I was a part of, I also was building up this really cool personal brand for myself. And what happened was I went freelance after being at AJ & Smart for, I think it was about 3 years. I went freelance, started consulting in the kind of content space, workshop space, and kind of innovation and tech. And when I went freelance, one of the coolest things was I didn't have to look for clients at all. It was like, I know that sounds like I'm bragging, and honestly, I was as surprised as anybody else about it. People already kind of knew who I was. They knew what I was capable of because I'd been talking about it. I'd been kind of proving my value and what I had to offer for several years, which meant it really set me up for success when I was ready to go solo. So whether you want to go solo or not, whether you just want more opportunities, whether you want a career advancement, new job, whatever, or whether you want to actually, build a business, you really should think about this. So that's my kind of goal, is to get you all motivated and revved up to make that happen. So, let's dive in, why don't we? I hope you're enjoying my cool animation slides. I had nothing to do with them, so I had them made for me, just so you know. I don't have those skills. All right, here's what you're gonna need for our workshop. You need a pen or a Sharpie. I know you guys have Sharpies. You need some paper or Post-its, which I'm fairly sure you also have in front of you. It's a design conference after all. And an open brain, an open noodle, an open mind. Noodle is my favorite word for brain, in case you're looking for an alternative ever. Noodle. I don't know why. Maybe it looks like noodles? Could be. Okay, if you're all ready to rock, give me a high five emoji in the chat. You're ready to rumble. Brittni, shut up and let's get to work. I often can ramble, so it's important to tell me to be quiet. Yeah. All right, we're ready. Okay, cool. All right, your personal branding plan. That's, by the way, me. It's an illustration made by the wonderful designer Julia Hartz on Instagram. She's incredible if you want to follow her. She's already got like a bajillion followers, but it's worth it. She's very talented. Okay, step one. Sorry, I digress. This is classic Brittni happening right now. Okay, step one, everybody. Get your pen and paper, okay? Get it ready. And here's what I want you to think about. Obviously, we're starting with your goal, okay? And when I say that we're starting with your goal, I want you to actually think far into the future. I want you to think in like 5 years' time, okay? And now, I want you to kind of go wild with this, because the goal is that your goal shows you where is the direction you're headed. Because let's be honest, content, building a brand, all this stuff, it's a long game. You have to really commit to it. So if you don't have like a really cool, exciting goal in mind, you might get demotivated. So that's where this is coming from. Also, it's good to have a direction that we're growing towards. Okay, so what I want you to do is make your goal super clear, obviously, like very, very clear. And I want it to be wild, like I said, like I want it to be bold. If you say like, I want to be known as the best graphic designer for something specific, try to niche it, obviously, but be wild. Like it's okay to be really about it. I want you to. And also make it your own. So I don't want your goal to be, I want to be Chris Do, which by the way, who doesn't want to be Chris Do, right? But I want it to be about you and what you actually are excited about. So there's nothing worse than chasing somebody else's dream. So chase your own dream. God, I'm going crazy into motivational speaking right now. I apologize. Sorry. Oh gosh, let's go back to that. Okay, so what I want you to do is, I was talking, hopefully you were thinking about your goal. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to get it down on paper. And while you do that, I am going to dance a little bit to some smooth jazz. If you wouldn't mind turning on some music for everybody. Just for like 30 seconds, max. That's all we need, just a bit of jazz. If there's no jazz, I'll just pretend like there's jazz and I'll do a bit of moving and grooving. Usually, when I dance, people, they don't think that I'm a good dancer, you know what I mean? But I've got some moves, Okay, is your goal down? Does everybody have a goal? Throw your goal into the comments if it's super snappy and you want to share it. Don't want to share it, that's totally fine too. Sometimes sharing a goal publicly actually might motivate you to, drive a little bit harder, move a little bit faster, kind of get things going. So feel free to put your goal in the comments and let's see, what everybody's thinking about. Okay, 5 years time, okay? Next, sorry if this is way too yellow. The designers are like, Brittni, that was a terrible choice of yellow. I hope you can see it. Maybe your monitors are a little bit less bright than my monitor. Who is your audience? Okay, this is the next step in our workshop. So we have our goal, we know where we're headed. Now, this is like the most important part. So we are gonna spend a bit of time here. I want you to think about who your audience is. And the things to think about are, who are the people who are going to help you reach that wild goal, okay? Who are the people who you need on your side? Maybe it's clients, you know what I mean? Maybe it's actually other designers, other people in the industry. Maybe you just want to build a community, want more junior people who are going to be like on your team and excited about you. But who are the people who are going to help you reach your goal? So I want you to write down all of the audiences that you care about, every single one. This might be like 10 to 15 audiences. Or you might already be like, I've got 2 audiences that I care about, done, okay? Then I want you to think about, the way to think about this, is these are the people that you want to build relationships with, right? So for me, my big audience, content strategist, is actually a lot of like agency owners, so like digital agency owners, because that's kind of my niche. That's where I sort of target I target them. Anyway, that's the kind of my target, but also like established consultants, people who are excited about getting into freelance, right? Like I'm helping them kind of build a name for themselves. What are the audiences that you care about? If you're a designer, it might be the product manager, right? Because you want to be noticed by someone who's a little bit higher up in your industry. If you're more senior, maybe it's like, and you want to work at a startup, maybe it's like the CEO of the cool startups that are popping up all over the place, right? So think about your audiences, write them all down as I'm talking about this. And remember, don't leave out the little guys. So this is kind of an interesting one. I think a lot of people, they think their audience you should shoot above your rank all the time. Actually, very often, like for me, one of my important audiences are also like social media managers, for instance, that work at maybe these digital agencies, these bigger digital agencies, because they want help to kind of, do their work more effectively and efficiently, right? So it can also be people who are at the same level as you, could also be more junior than you, whatever's going to help you get to your goal. And then I want you to circle the top 3. Okay, so that is super important. We're not going to go wild and try to create content for we are actually going to zero it down, narrow it down. You see? The energy, it just means that sometimes I just say the wrong thing. Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple of moments to finish doing this. I want you to really think about it. I hope we have some music that we can play. I can't hear music, but I'll pretend like it's there, and then if it's there,
it'll be there.
That's cool.
We can't hear it.
That works. Oh, Brian, you scared me. Okay, great. I'm glad it's there. Okay, so I'm gonna put 1 minute on the clock, okay? And I want you to finish doing this. I know that it's not a lot of time, but we have a lot to get through, okay? So super important. All of the audiences, and I want you to have the top 3 circled at the end. Yeah. All right, 30 more seconds. So at this point, start thinking about your top 3 audiences, okay? And give those ones a circle. Super important that we narrow this down, and you've got 20 more seconds. Three, 2, 1. Okay, awesome. So you have now your top 3 audiences, which is super important. Now, we did this really quickly, so I would just encourage you, if at the end of this workshop you're like, blah, wow, I don't know if I got that all right, go back through the steps, right? Just remind yourself, maybe write a little note with what's going on at each step, so you can go back and maybe kind of reflect and iterate your answer. It's always good. So we've got 3 audiences. Let me know a couple of your audiences in the chat. Pop it in there. Let other people know what the deal is. Maybe you will inspire other people where they're like, oh yeah, that's all a good audience. Throw them down in there. It's really for us to kind of work together through this. Yeah, and I can see some cool questions coming in. Definitely we're going to get to those, so don't worry about that at all. Step 3, okay? You have your top three audiences. And now what I want you to think about it's so simple, but what are their challenges? Okay, so that's our next step. We're going to really kind of try to dissect our audience. Now, if you don't know what kinds of challenges your audience is facing, then you need to potentially, in this workshop, you can take a little guess, but actually what would be better is if you kind of go back and do a bit of research. So, and we can talk about that a little later, how to figure out what your audience needs if you don't actually know yet. So before we do that, we want to think about their pain points, okay? So what is holding these people back from achieving success? Right? What are the challenges that are coming up often for them? This is another super important one. You want to be relevant, okay? So even if it's a challenge that maybe they faced once, we want to be thinking about the things that are reoccurring for them. And also be super specific. So a challenge can't be like a huge challenge is they need to build an app, right? Or they need to build a digital product. That's a challenge. But let's get a little bit more niche than that, okay? Like dial it down to think about their everyday challenges that they might be facing and keep it really relevant to you and your niche and what you, are involved in when you're working with these clients or when you're, with this audience, okay? So keep it specific. And I want you to take 3 minutes to write down as many as you can for each audience. So, I mean, I don't think you are all new to the workshop thing, but I would, of course, put my audiences like this on my page with 3 Post-its there, and then just list as many as you can think of, okay? So we can turn some music on. I might put some reminders in there. But I want you to think about that. Get specific, right? So like an example for me as a content strategist would be that a lot of people don't have time to create content, right? Time is a huge issue. That's a huge challenge for several of my audiences. And some of the challenges might pop up in different audiences. That's okay too. Feel free to mute me if you just need 3 minutes to yourself without me badgering you with tips. Okay, I'm gonna put a couple more minutes on here. We've got some jazz playing. Wonderful. Some things you can do if you need to research your audience a little bit. So a couple of things that are really helpful. One, go onto YouTube, maybe you're already there, and look at some of the, like if you looked at some videos, so whether you're a product designer, maybe you're whatever, look at some industry videos and look at what the questions are that are coming up in the comments. That's often a really good indicator of some pain points for your audience, as well in different, right? So that's a really great place to find, I mean, generally just to find content ideas. Going into Reddit, for instance, or I'm trying to think of other, like whatever kind of form makes sense in your industry and what you do, that's a really great place to discover and learn a little bit more about your audience if you don't have access to them, for instance. Okay, a few more seconds and then we'll move on to the next one. If you have a couple of pain points, throw them in the chat. Let's get inspired. You guys are sharing some really great stuff. So I can see Uluwandara, beautiful name, has health professionals, young designers, managers. This is a really, really great defined audience, especially because you have that industry specific. That's going to be really, really powerful and helpful for your content because you can zero in on that. We have Papini Design, cool. So passionate food and beverage owners. Yeah, perfect. Food and beverage business owners, sorry. Passionate designers. Ooh, more timer is up. This is great, 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 great. Awesome. Okay, so now that you have your pain points all hammered down, we're going to then circle the most painful that you think, okay? So this is according to you right now, as far as you know, for each audience, what's the one that's most painful? And the thing that I want you to all think about while you're thinking about painful for your audience is what you think, because for the next step, obviously we're going to go into that side, but what you think you can help with, right? So what is the, what is a pain point or a challenge that you're like, you look at that challenge and you're like, I've got to say about that, right? Give that one a circle. So you're going to have three. You're going to have one for each audience circled. So you're going to have 3 challenges or pain points circled on your page. Do that really quickly. We're not going to put on any jazz for that one. Save the jazz for later. La 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 la. Youpa-doopa-doo. Okay. We have a really quick question that I'm just going to address because I think it's maybe valuable for right now. So what if I want to work on social issue awareness? For example, women empowerment. Who would be my target audience? I can't seem to specify them. That's an excellent question. So when it comes to your audience and you are thinking, like, this is a very broad topic. So actually what I would first of all encourage you to do is maybe niche it down a little bit. So really specifically, so social issue awareness. So is it women empowerment? Is that the social issue that you'd like to gain awareness or that you'd like to push awareness around? In that case, what I would recommend doing is thinking about who cares about that, right? Because what you don't want to do, you don't want to be targeting an audience that care, okay? That's super important. If your audience doesn't care, then you have a bit of a harder time. There is a way to do that, to kind of find your entry point with them, figure out what they do care about and how you can talk to them in the kind of right way to get their attention and to prove to them that there's a need for what you're doing. But you want to kind of drill it down. Like, I would probably, if I were you, I would probably do something like creating a few little personas. And I'm not actually specifically a designer, so I'm not like a big persona fan. I know some people really like them, some people don't like them, but I would maybe create a couple of personas. Like, what's your age group? What is this person? Is this person like a young professional? Is she, is she like an activist, right? Like, who are these people who we should actually, and you can kind of define them like that back to you might have to go back to that audience kind of side and revisit that a little bit and go into a bit more depth. Okay. One thing, because I can see that we have, there might be a bit of a lag in the voice. I'm just going to check here. Yeah, no, I have I'm not on Wi-Fi, so I'm on like the land internet, which is apparently super fast. So I hope that clears up. Okay. The next thing, let's start there, sorry. The next thing is step 4, how can you help? So we have these 3 pain points. Now I want you to think about what you can do for this audience. So I know that if you're on social media, following anybody that talks about content and personal branding and social media strategy, you want to think about what you can give them that's going to be valuable. Everybody uses the word value all the time. I know I'm sick of hearing it, but it's overused for a reason. It's super important, right? So how can you help them? And the things to think about are, you are giving this away for free. So what can you give them that's not, I don't want you to start working for free for this person. Okay, that's not at all what we want to do, but we want to build content that's so valuable that people would actually be like, whoa, I can't believe Brittni just shared this with me for free. Like, what is she, a nutcase? Okay, that's what we're looking for when it comes to this stuff. And think about like what I like to think about when I'm coming up with content ideas and use framework is like, what would actually make a real difference in their daily lives if I gave them the answer, or I gave them this, if I gave them this thing. And also my big test on whether I put out a piece of content or whether I actually building this piece of content is whether I think it will get a thank you from the audience that it's intended for, right? So that's a super, super important one to consider. Now, when you are thinking about value, thinking about thank yous, thinking about all that stuff, the base level of value is like educational content, things that will actually help this person, this audience. But of course, value can be other things, right? Value can be like something funny, value can be something insightful, something motivating. But for now, let's just keep it basic and let's actually provide value in like the most kind of fundamental meaning of the word, okay? So I'm gonna put some time on the clock. I want you to write down these things. So for each challenge, I want you to think about what could you offer that person. So let's say a challenge is that, this is gonna be a super basic challenge, but maybe a challenge is one of your audiences struggles or needs to put on remote workshops all the time, right? That's a challenge, right? So what could you do? Do you know a lot about remote workshops? Could you provide them like a checklist of what you need to think about for your remote workshop, right? Something like that. So keep it simple, but think about what you would say in that instance. I'm getting actually a little bit ahead of the game. Don't think about ideas yet, although if you already have, it's fine. But what you want to do is actually think about the piece of advice or the thing that person if they were to present this challenge to you. Okay? Yeah, awesome. Okay. I'm putting another 2 minutes because we want to 2 minutes because we want to have time for Q&A. We're almost done the workshop portion, guys. Just stay with me. What could you offer these people? What piece of advice? What little bit of value? If there's a specific challenge, what's your response? That question, God, how can I make workshops easier for myself? What would you say in that instance? What's your response? That's what I want you to write down. I wonder if my dance moves are in sync with the music. Any ideas? Let me know what if I just like...
It's jazz chat, so it's like jazz music, so I don't think robot's gonna work.
Brian, why you gotta kill my dreams?
My mistake. Keep on going.
Thank you. Okay. I mean, thing is, whenever I'm running workshops, I'm like, I'll give you 2 minutes, and then I give people 1.5 minutes. I know that that's not, but here's the thing, you're getting the framework so you can go back, right? I keep saying that, but it is important. You're gonna get the framework so you can go back after this session and fill it all in. So now that you've thought of something that you're gonna actually offer that audience that's gonna help them with their challenge, how are you going to communicate that? So this is now time for ideas. This is my favorite part. There's no, and you are all at a cool design conference. We're in the tech industry. We're in innovation. Ideas are never a problem. So I love the best. I want you to write down one idea for each of these issues, each of these challenges, and I want you to write down how you can best communicate that message, okay? What's super important is that you need to think about it being simple. Most of us, maybe, I'm sure we have some students that are tuning in, but I'm sure you're busy. A lot of us have jobs, whether we're students or not, and I think that it's so important with content ideas that you be realistic, right? So keep it simple. Don't think you're gonna put out a series, a documentary series. You know what I mean? Let's just keep it basic for now, at first. Keep in mind also your strengths. Are you really great on video? Could you hammer out a video really quickly on a topic? Oh, okay, sorry, my headphones went out, but then they came back in. Sorry, that was all in my, you guys couldn't hear any of that, but for me it was a moment. Okay, sorry. So keep in mind your strength. If you're great on video, maybe you do a video. If you're, do that. If you're awesome with visual, then maybe you should make your content more visual, right? So super important to keep that in mind. And then a reminder to be realistic. So I'm going to give you just a couple of moments, and then we're going to head into Q&A actually I have a couple of tips after this, and then we can do Q&A. So just 1 minute to blast out 3 ideas that will help you, okay, tackle these challenges. So go for it. There's music, jazz. It's smooth jazz. So weird dancing when you can't hear the music, but you know it's there. How was that? Was that pretty good? If you like my dance moves, you just let me know in the comments and I'll just keep doing that. Okay, great. Awesome, 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 awesome. 20 more seconds. Get those ideas down. Let me know in the comments if you have a really cool idea. And honestly, okay, I know that we're all really nervous about sharing our ideas. Those ideas are gonna get stolen. But ideas are the easy part, right? Always remember that. This is just an extra little piece of advice. Don't get precious about your ideas, right? Because ideas will be executed, and that's where you come into play. So, don't get too worried. Okay. I think, boom, we're done. Okay, that is, I slid in a secret step number 5. Give yourself a deadline for each of these 3 things, okay? Because or else, if you have no deadline, then I need you to create one. If you have no deadline, sorry, you guys, I'm getting really excited. I'm also getting a little bit sweaty, okay? If you have no deadline, it's not gonna happen, right? For myself anyways, I'm the worst if I don't have a deadline. That's why things like this, like a talk, is so great because there's such a solid deadline. You have to go live, at a certain time, right? So give yourself a deadline, put it in your calendar for each of these 3 pieces of content that are strategic, they're smart, and they're actually individual to you goals, right? So this is stuff you should be investing in. You should put some time into this, okay? So rock and roll. Put it in the deadline. And if you don't do it right now, you do it immediately after this session, because or else it ain't gonna happen. All right, a couple of reminders before we go into some Q&A around just making content in general, building a personal brand. The first one is, please start with one platform. Focus on one platform and choose it. How you're gonna choose it well, first of all, where is your audience? And secondly, where do you like to spend time? That is so important that you're getting both of those things kind of coming together, okay? Because you're gonna have to spend some time on this social media platform, whichever one you choose, so you should enjoy that time on it. You're also gonna be expected to, if you want to build something, you're gonna be expected to engage and build a community there, so you're gonna have to spend time there. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Start with one platform. Have a unique angle, right? Don't try to make your content like someone else. Don't try to please everybody, right? I think things that I used to do a lot is trying to create content for all people in all walks of life. Getting specific and niching down is the best thing you can do when it comes to strategy. Please, this is so important. So focusing on conversations, okay? So when you're creating content, you are all smart people. You're excited about your industry. You have a lot of information in your noodles or your brain. But as long as I hope that you guys will start using the term when it comes to your brain, because it's, like I said, one of my faves. What I want you to think about is not giving everyone all of the information, right? So when you're creating, let's say, one of the cool Christo carousels, which I know you all love, and I'm sure you all, very cool dude. He puts out all these really, the designers, look, one of my bullets is off. Oh, you guys are gonna get mad at me. Anyway, sorry. He doesn't put everything he knows into of its own, right? He leaves room for conversation, for questions, for people to comment, give opinions, right? And that's what because the goal of your content isn't to be like showing off and showing people that you know exactly what you're doing, although sometimes it does that a little bit, which is good, but it's actually to get people to talk to you about it, to build your network. So think of it as your content as a networking tool, not as, you preaching everything you know to your audience. And then the last thing that I really encourage you is to be yourself. Be yourself. It's super important to bring yourself to your content, to actually be genuine and authentic. And again, like I can't stress this, not trying to copy or imitate somebody else and how they put out their content and what they're doing. Learn from other people, right? Social media is kind of one of these places where you can often get these daunting feelings of inadequacy, all these people succeeding around you. I would just encourage you, because everyone gets those feelings where you're like, oh, I'm not doing enough, people, right? I would really encourage you to, instead of trying to be like them or wishing that you had the foundation or the following that they had, to learn from them, right? What can you learn from them? Get inspired by them, imitate them, because it'll actually just be disheartening for you very quickly. So be yourself, bring yourself out there, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to put your face in the game sometimes. I think that's actually quite important, to actually show yourself in your content sometimes and be a tough. So I hope that you feel inspired. I hope you feel motivated. I hope you have ideas to go out and actually execute on. And I would really love to open up the floor to questions. And also, if you want, you can stand up out of your seat. I know I can't see you, so I can't tell if you're doing it. And you can take a little bow, because you did great, like really worked, and you did something great for yourself and your career. So that's why you should also be proud, maybe give yourself a little pat on the old backaroony. Anyway, okay, so now I'm ready for questions.
Awesome. Brittni, thanks so much for that amazing presentation. So yeah, guys, anyone who wants to ask a question to Brittni in the next 5 minutes or so, feel free to chuck it in the live chat so I can ask Brittni now. One of the questions that have come in here, Brittni, which is, if you had to start from scratch tomorrow, you had zero following, zero connections, zero nothing, what would you do specifically? Like what's the first kind of actionable, tangible step that you'd take?
Okay, so on whatever platform you choose, I would do exactly pretty much the same thing. I would first put some effort into actually creating some valuable content, okay? It doesn't have to be crazy, but I want you to kind of like create some so that, let's say your Instagram profile isn't empty, right? But that actually has some interest. Don't worry about getting likes on those things yet. Don't worry about engagement rate. Just get some stuff there, so that you kind of have it as a little, almost like a proof of the fact that you are maybe engaging with, okay? That goes the same with, like, if you're gonna zero in on LinkedIn, whatever channel, get some stuff out there. Then what I want you to do is carve out some actual real time every day, if you can, to engage with people on that platform, okay? And I don't mean, going and commenting smiley faces or like, this is awesome. I mean, like, really thinking about something like a thoughtful response. to other people's content, okay? Maybe get a conversation going, right? Because the more that you're people and you're interacting with them, the more that they might kind of be like, this person's interesting, and they'll, bop over to your profile, right? That's one of the best ways to actually get going. Obviously, you need to make sure that you have, there's tons of people you can follow on all platforms, really, when it comes to like getting the specifics right. So when it comes to like tags, formats, all those things, you want to make sure you kind of have that baseline. But actually, ultimately, the best thing you can do is engage on the platform. The other thing about that, just really quickly, I know I'm rambling on with this question, but it's a good one. Really, like one of the most important things to know about any social media algorithm. Not that I'm a fan of obsessing about algorithms. That is so not my style at all. But if you take one thing away about, they do recognize the people that you are engaging with most often on the platform. Let's say LinkedIn. I'm posting on LinkedIn all the time, but I'm never talking with people. I'm never like reaching out to anybody. My content's going to get shown much fewer, quite a lot less people than if I were actually engaging with those people. And then LinkedIn or Instagram has this connection where they're like, oh, Brittni talks a lot with this person, with Ryan on Instagram. I'm going to show Ryan Brittni's content, right? That's how it works. So the more that you're engaging and the more people, relevant people, the more your content will be shown. So just consider that as well. But I think that's a good start.
For sure. Nice. All right, next question coming in from Papini Design, who says, I'm not really comfortable doing videos, but everyone says like that's the one thing you need to do and get over it. While others say it's just a nice thing to do. Do I really need video?
Ooh, that's a really tough one. I come from the mentality that I wouldn't say that you must do video. If you hate doing video, if you hate being on video, then you're probably not going to be very good at it.
Sure.
That sounds a bit harsh, but you know what I mean? Like there's a reason you don't like it and you're not good at generally, or they make us uncomfortable or whatever, right? So I would say that maybe you don't necessarily have to do video where you're presenting, but video as a format is really, really important. So maybe you can find different alternative ways to actually get that done, right? To put out some video. Maybe you make some videos that don't have you on the screen. Maybe you're showing like animated stuff. Only cool animated videos, not those like stock animation videos. Terrible. But yeah, like maybe you're doing more of that kind of, oh, sorry.
The whiteboard videos, you know how they like draw my life.
Yeah,
sort of
the
thing.
whiteboard videos, exactly, where it's like, oh, yeah, it's just the worst. So, but what I would encourage you, one thing I would encourage you to do, and I know that this is maybe controversial. I don't know if everybody thinks this, but I personally think that it's really important that you do show your face sometimes, not all the time, but it's important that people, depending on your goals, I think for me and my strategy, that people recognize me and that they feel like they are kind of getting to, and that they feel, they trust me a little bit. And, it's really hard to trust someone or, when all you see is just, images and text and stuff. So show your face sometimes.
Sure. Awesome. All right. Last question before we finish up. How would you overcome the perfectionist behavior while creating? How do you stop being a perfectionist with your content and just go into mass production mode?
This is such a tough one. The first thing that is super important to remember is your deadlines. This actually helps me because I'm also like, we all have perfectionist tendencies, especially I think people who are really tech savvy and who love design and visuals in general. Usually they want everything to look really beautiful, and sometimes everything can't look very beautiful. So I would say the first thing that's super important to remember is set yourself a deadline. And again, honestly, so when you set yourself a deadline and then you're approaching your deadline and you get to it, you're like, ooh, this is not where I wanted it to be. The thing to remember is creativity is a process. And actually, like, you are actually going to put out a lot of garbage, or at least a lot of things that aren't perfect, before you get to a point where you're like, I'm much more proud of this, or I'm at a place. But it's all about like going through the motions. So the more comfortable you can get with putting out things that maybe you're like, oh, I would change that, this, or, you know, the more comfortable you can get with that, the more you're going to be able to produce, and the better you're going to get, right? So maybe keep it as a motivational thing. Okay, I'm going to put this one out, but then I'm going to work hard on the next one to give it, like, take it up a little bit of a notch, right? So that's how I would think of it. But for me, it's the deadlines that I set for myself that keep me on track.
For sure. Nice one. All right, so we're almost about running out of time. Brittni, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute blast. Why don't you let everyone know where they can stay in touch with you, and any closing remarks on your behalf?
Cool. Well, thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everybody who went through this workshop. I kind of really like stuck it to you and made you really kind of work for it. But that's what you're here for, I guess. Yeah. You can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn. I gave my handle, but it's basically my name there. Type that into Instagram or LinkedIn. You can find me there. If you do, give me a little message. I'd be more than happy to answer any more questions about strategy. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, fantastic. Yeah, I've already seen a few people been sharing photos of you on, like, from their screens on Instagram stories. So I'm sure when you go into your DMs after this, there'll be quite a few there for you.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks again, Brittni, and thank you everyone for attending this session of Front Row. We'll be back in about 8 or so hours time with a live Q&A with the man, Mike Jander. So keep an eye out for that one. Just check the Discord, make sure everything's up to date there, and you'll be getting notifications. But yeah, you guys know how it rolls already. We're heading into day 5 tomorrow. It's currently almost midnight here, so we're gonna go to sleep, get a little bit of rest, and we'll be back in the morning with Mike Jander. But until then, we'll see you next time. Creative business, you know you need to manage projects, send invoices, and even deal with clients. It can be a lot of work. That's where Milestone Pay has your back. Proposals, contracts, invoices, the list goes on. Everything you need, Milestone Pay has you covered. Milestone Pay essentially removes the need for a full-time project manager, which means more money in your pocket. So, you're ready to get your invoices paid on time? Head to milestonepay.com and sign up for your free account today. Less hassle, more hustle, the way we like it.
Told to narrow down our niche, to empathize with our customer pain points, and to charge more money because apparently we're worth more money. But that can be incredibly difficult if we haven't taken the time to understand who we truly are and what makes us tick. When we have a clear sense of identity and know what we stand for, we begin appreciating what makes us different, instead of feeling like we need to be someone different. Over the last 20 years, I've had the privilege to build creative agencies and grow beautiful communities, but nothing is more satisfying than transforming young creators into elite, joyful professionals. The Framework Cohort is a mentoring program designed to give you the room to breathe again, to drop all the FOMO and recalibrate so you can find your true north alongside other creators from all around the world. If this sounds like something you need, come join the next cohort. I'm looking forward to giving you a bit of a shake-up.